Шановні пані і панове.
Good morning, ladies and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When we speak about aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine, this is not just a challenge for our state. This is also a challenge for Europe, for all democratic countries of the world, because we are now witnessing the attempts to destroy the world order, the system of collective defense, which were achieved through many victims after World War II. Russia would like to legalize its right to use force to solve any issue. We should be sincere. The annexation and occupation of Crimea, war in the east of our country. This is not an impromptu decision of Putin. This was prepared. The preparation was systematic, and according to the information of our special services, this preparation work began 10 years ago, after the victory of the Orange Revolution, when Russia got to understand Ukraine might set itself free, and the war of Russia for us meant huge losses, not just losses of enterprises, of numerous pieces of property, public property, private property, and shutting down of some leading enterprises of our economy, and also the withdrawal of our equipment from Ukrainian territory. But the main loss for us is the loss of human lives. Ukraine pays the price of lives of our best people trying to stop the aggression of Russia towards the West. You know, it's rather illustrative. I mean, the today's decree of Putin. Putin added classified notion, put the classified classifies information on the victims in this war. Not only Ukrainian losses, but also huge losses from Russian side.
But you cannot conceal what is known to the whole world. We have to point out that in the east of Ukraine, Putin has failed to carry out the blitzkrieg that he had in the Crimea. The reason for a quick capture of the Crimea was obvious. He used advantage of the fact that at the beginning of last year, our system of power was totally ruined. As a matter of fact, we had no military. Our security forces were in shambles and absolutely demoralized. But within a short period of time, we managed to revitalize our military. We started rebuilding our security structures, and Putin's plans for a quick victory in the east of Ukraine were thwarted. I'd like to say a few words about the Minsk agreements. Ukraine has been extremely responsible as regards the implementation of Minsk's agreements, and we're doing everything possible to stop the hostilities in the east of Ukraine by peaceful means, because this is about lives of our citizens. Having said that, I'd like to call your attention to the fact that we have not had a single day when we would not have shellings of Ukrainian positions by the Russian-backed combatants. For more than 5,000 times after the signing of the Minsk agreements, our positions have been shelled. On a daily basis, we suffer fatalities among our military. Moreover, hiding behind the rhetoric about helping the resolution of this conflict, they continue to build up weapons in our territory. They concentrate their troops along the borderline with Ukraine. All this shows that Russia is doing everything possible to torpedo the Minsk agreements and the restoration of combat activities at the point of time when it will be convenient for them. But we have to realize that once hostilities are restarted, they can grow into a full-blown continental war. Likewise, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that apart from direct military actions, the Russian Federation is carrying out very dangerous sabotage and terrorist activities on the territory of Ukraine. Among those who carried out terrorist acts in Kharkov and Odessa oblasts and in the city of Kyiv, most of them gave evidence that they had been trained in Russia or had their actions coordinated from the Russian Federation by the Russian security services. The main conclusion that all this leads us to, this is nothing new basically. This is about the historic experience of Europe. What I'm trying to say is that it is very dangerous and very inefficient to pursue the policy of appeasing the aggressor. The appeasement of aggressor always results in escalation of conflicts and in huge bloody losses. Aggressors should not be appeased. They should be stopped. And it is something that we insist on. The policy of appeasing the aggressor or not angering Putin, as some European politicians, including our strategic partners, keep saying, unfortunately has not yielded and cannot possibly yield any positive result. Moreover, the result of this stance is an actual suspension of military and technical cooperation between Ukraine and our partners in the West, primarily in terms of the supply of lethal weapons for Ukraine. But at the same time, Ukraine is not subject to any sanctions which would limit our military technical cooperation with the West. Ukraine is fighting for its independence and is entitled to defend itself. And obviously, we do hope that the policy of appeasing Putin will be revised and changed. We suggest a different policy. It is a strong and well-equipped and well-armed military of Ukraine that can be the only guarantor of peace in Europe, because Russia reckons only with force, and it is only a strong military, well-equipped and armed, that can rebuff the aggressor, and this is a matter of principle for us. I would also like to underline that the threat coming from Russia is not a kind of a local threat, as it is sometimes presented or depicted by some politicians. The Russian threat is not a local one, it is global. And one of the proofs to that effect is the systemic work that the Russian Federation is doing towards the deployment on Crimea of offensive nuclear weapons. I emphasize, this is not a piece of information from the internet. This is corroborated by watertight evidence that our security service and the security services of our strategic partners have. We're talking about nuclear weapons with the means of delivery in the sea, in the air, and on the ground. I can give you some more details related to that program of Russia. When we speak about sea-based nuclear weapons, they deploy them on their warships as well as onto bases in Feodosia, in Balaklava, where they are building two large bases of the submarine fleet of the Russian Federation. The submarines, which will be equipped with cruise missiles with a range of action up to 2,000 kilometers. This is also air-based bombers, which have nuclear bombs in their arsenal, the most modern ones, as well as air-to-surface missiles which threaten not just Ukraine, they primarily threaten Europe. This is also ground-based nuclear weapon. They have already started the deployment of Iskander-K and Iskander-M complex and 152 millimeters in caliber howitzers and two S-3 Acacia system, as well as K300K Bastion. All of them carry nuclear warheads, and this is a serious threat which should be addressed, because this breaks the balance of forces in the European and Black Sea region. Basically, today Ukraine is at the forefront, which contains the movement of Putin's aggressive forces towards the West. But the problem of confrontation with Russia today is not just a Ukrainian problem, and it cannot be tackled by Ukraine on our own. This is an issue which should be on the agenda of all the countries who are responsible for the future. And it is only through pooling our efforts that we can revitalize the paradigm of peaceful development in Europe. Today, we have to speak not about keeping sanctions in place. We have to make these sanctions tougher. We have to restore military and technical cooperation between Ukraine and the West. We should arm our military with advanced weapons. We are working purposefully on the revitalization of our defense industry, but without international coordination and cooperation in this field, we would not be able to stop the aggressor. Therefore, we do hope that today's statement by Vice President Biden, which was voiced in the U.S. today, that we have to revisit the issue of military and technical cooperation with Ukraine, including the issue of lethal weapons. All this makes us very hopeful, and I believe that it will bring about tangible results, because it's only through joint efforts that we will be able to restore the system of collective security in Europe and stop the aggressor. Thank you for your attention.